name is Gopal, and my company is called International Housing. So I, being an international student, knew very well how difficult it is for students to find a suitable and affordable housing, especially for students who do not meet the minimum income requirements and who don't have guarantors. So the idea of international housing is to provide students with security and hassle-free application process to help them get their dream housing. This is done by providing guarantees on their lease and managing the application paperwork. The guarantees on the lease are provided given that the students meet all the requirements of the approval process, which mainly consists of going through their financial backgrounds in their home country. This is done to ensure that the student will be able to pay their rent in full and on time. As this is just a startup phase for the idea, I decided to focus on international students from India because me being an Indian can connect with them easily and understand them better. The implementation. So I got this idea for the business from my own personal experiences and problems I faced living in America. But I wanted to know, was it just me or was it a real problem? And therefore I decided to go out and talk with other international students at Pace University. And from my interactions with other students, I learned that many of the students faced a similar problem. And so to avoid all this hassle, they chose dorming as their next best alternative. But it is not a very viable alternative as dorming fees are very high, and sharing a room with no living space and kitchen with other strangers for a price of one bedroom is quite frustrating. The other problem they faced was lack of information. As they were new to the city, they did not have enough knowledge about the real estate industry, about the application process, and what areas to look into for the best prices. To investigate further into the issue, I spoke to a few real estate agents to get a better idea, and what I found was that most homeowners were unwilling to rent out their properties to international students because of lack of credit score and financial information, and also the lack of the surety of getting money on monthly rent. So then I started speaking with a few property owners in Manhattan area to see if they would be willing to participate with us and lease their properties through us to international students. But to my dismay, most of them said they were just happy with their current brokers, and some said they were getting along just fine because of high demand of housing in the city, and they didn't really feel the need to venture out into other market segments. So after my interaction with property owners, I figured out that I needed to widen my search area and look into neighboring parts of the city. And that's when I found out about Journal Square, an area about 15 to 20 minutes train ride from here, which offers cheaper rentals compared to the city prices. And the plus point is that the neighborhood has a big Indian community living there, so it's beneficial for the international students. So I spoke with property owners in Journal Square. While most of them weren't interested in the idea, I did manage to find a couple of property owners who were willing to work with us, given that we found them the right renters. So that brings me to the validation part, which was the most difficult part, mainly because of two reasons. One, the market segment is very small and niche, and second, it's a seasonal industry where most of the students coming from India come to US at the start of fall semester and have already sought out their accommodations, and therefore it was very difficult to find students willing to sign up for the service at this point. There were many students interested in the idea of proving that the concept can work, but given their current housing status, they weren't unable to sign up. The other thing that I found out was that targeting Indian international students in US was much more difficult, given that they make most of their accommodation arrangements prior to the travel to US. So from my understanding, I believe that the concept can work given the right timing, and changing the target, as in rather than targeting international students in US, you would rather directly target them in India, where they are more likely to have option to choose between dorms or to choose our service before leaving for US, so they can make a better informed decision.
Okay, good. Thank you.